Morning, everybody, and happy Monday. We're going to start off this morning with some review of the metric system. Now, when we're talking about the metric system, let's remember that we're talking about three basic units. We're talking about, when we're talking about length, that basic unit is going to be the meter. When we're talking about mass, we're going to be talking about the gram or the kilogram, which is more practical usually. And we're talking about volume. We're talking about the liter. So we have the meter, the kilogram or the gram, and the liter. Now, when you're thinking about each of these units, think about the things that we've done in class and think about something that would be similar. So we're going to look at a couple of these together. I'm not going to give you an exact number, but we can talk about some units maybe. Now, the first one says the mass of a jar of peanut butter. Now, when you hold a jar of peanut butter, first off, and you're looking at the mass, we're talking about grams or kilograms because it's mass. Now, we know from talking in class that a paperclip is about the size of 1 gram. So a jar of peanut butter would be significantly more than that. We also remember that 1 kilogram equals 2.2 pounds, or is about 2.2 pounds. That also is going to help us decide, is that more a jar of peanut butter than 2.2 pounds? Now, we've held what a kilogram feels like, so we know what that feels like, and maybe we can use that as we go along. So I would definitely there choose either kilograms or grams, and think about what you know about each of those when you're deciding on a number. The second one says the amount of water that fits in a sink. That's going to be the amount of water. It's not going to be the length. It's not going to be the mass. It's going to be the volume. And we're going to be measuring that in liters. You could also use smaller units like milliliters, but it's probably going to be liters because it's going to be multiple of those. Remember a liter, we looked at that liter graduated cylinder. You're thinking it's going to be probably a multiple of those. I'll let you come up with that. The distance from LES to Smart's Mill, that's going to be the length. So we're going to use meters. And in particular, because it's a longer distance, we're going to use a lot of meters or a kilometer. Remember, a kilometer is the same as 1,000 meters. You can decide based upon that how much you think that's going to be. Remember, a kilometer also is a little more than half a mile, about 0.6 of a mile. So think about that as well as you're choosing an answer there. All right, we're going to move to the next section here. All right, so the rectangular prism to the left has a volume of 192 cubic inches. 192 cubic inches. Remember, a cubic inch is a cube that is 1 inch long, 1 inch wide, and 1 inch high. So I kind of imagine about the size of one of the die that we roll in class. The length of the prism is 12 inches. So I'm going to say here the length is 12 inches. If the width and height are equivalent, what is the measure of the width and height? So I'm going to say the width and height are X because we're saying that those two things are the same, but we don't know what they are. Now, remember to find the volume of a rectangular prism. We say volume is equal to the length times the width times the height. So basically what I'm saying here is that 12 times some number times that same number should give me 192. Now, we just have to figure out what is that number? What is that X in this case? So to figure that out, the first thing I think about doing is thinking, well, if I know I'm multiplied here, could I first start out by dividing 192 by 12? And then that would tell me something times something must equal whatever that answer is. And from there, we can then figure out by guessing and checking what would be that number times itself that's going to give me this. Remember, you can always then go back and check by putting that number in here for x and multiplying 12 times whatever that number is, times that number again, and you should get 192 cubic inches there. So think about that as you're going through and thinking about your volume. All right, let's go to our last question here, a word problem, and here's what it says. Lee and Jay think there may be a hidden message in the name isosceles. They think it sounds like I sausage cheese, and they believe that the clues in the name and in other triangles might possibly lead to a treasure. This past weekend, they traveled to the equator based upon a clue they found and dined at an Italian restaurant where they think the treasure might be found. They each spent $175.85 on their flight, and they shared a pizza at the Italian restaurant. That was $33. If together they had $1,000 before they left for their trip, how much money do they have left? Do you think a treasure exists? All right. So first off, I know that they spent $175.85 on flights. And remember, they both need a flight. They both need a ticket. $33 for the pizza. And they split that, so that cost only happens once. And then they started with $1,000 when they began. And the question here is asking how much money do they have left? All right, so again, we know they spent $175.85 on their flight. They spent an additional $33 on the pizza. They started with the $1,000. Now, guys, the biggest thing here is you have to remember to multiply this flight price by 2 because there's 2 people. Both of them need a ticket, so both of them have to pay. To that, then, we got to remember to add on that pizza price. Remember that this is 33 whole dollars. That's 33 whole dollars as we're adding. And then we're just finding the difference between that and 1,000 to see what is left. And I think you guys can finish that up. Looking forward to today. Awesome job, and I'll see you guys later.